The Silver Tsunami is fake. If you're not familiar with what that term is, the Silver Tsunami is supposed to be caused by retirees moving to the Sunbelt region, a huge portion of them in the next 15 to 20 years. As they age in place and they pass, they're going to leave all these homes behind, and that's going to cause a situation where the market's just flooded with homes. People that are in the Millennial and Gen Z generations are hoping that this is going to lower prices for homes, make it more accessible to get into the market, but I'm here to tell you that is not going to happen. I'm Jason Kish, I work in the commercial real estate space, and we're going to cover in this video not just the data behind the cities in the Sunbelt that are supposedly going to be affected by this, but I'll show you the cities that really will be affected by it in reality, and then I'm going to show you some information that nobody else is covering. Let's start off with Phoenix. This is an area that is supposed to be part of the Silver Tsunami because a lot of people really like retiring to Arizona. It has great weather, just a good, enjoyable place where you don't have to shovel snow. Big reason that people move to the Sunbelt in the first place. So as we look here, ages 60 and above account for 10, 6, 3, so that's 19% of the population. Let's look at another Sunbelt city, Miami, Florida. That is 12, 7, 4, so that's 23% of the population is over 60 years old. And by the way, these are places that other professionals want to move. So these are places where Gen Z and millennial people want to buy houses. Dallas, that's another one in the Sunbelt. You know, there's been a lot of growth in Dallas and it's a great job market. Gen Z and millennials, they want to be able to afford houses here. So we can see that's 17% of the population is 60 years and older. We'll go to Austin. That's even, further south. This would be a great place to retire because of the weather and because of the activities. But this is also, again, a place that people can actually get jobs and have a good career. So it's lower than the other ones. I'll do one last one in the Sunbelt, and that's Charlotte, North Carolina. This has been a place that has been a job growth center for a while. It's also a great place to retire. I'm originally from the Snowbelt, and there are a lot of people that decide to move to North Carolina because it's a lot more temperate. We can see that it's 16% of the population is 60 years old or older. That's the category that's supposed to be hit by the Silver Tsunami. It's not gonna happen. This is the area where all the baby boomer homes and the silent generation and those people that are above 60 years old, these are the areas that are disproportionately retirees. But the problem is young people don't want to start their careers in these kinds of places. It's the Rust Belt. It's where there were a lot of jobs. And the people that worked those jobs maybe 30, 40, 50 years ago, those jobs don't exist anymore, but they're aging in place there. The first place on my list is Boardman Township, Ohio. So this is right by Youngstown, Ohio. And you can see that we have, for 60 years and older, we actually have 29%. That's higher than any of the other Sunbelt ones. And again, this is because people used to work at General Motors, they worked at steel mills, they worked at places that honestly don't exist anymore. So that's why there's such a high proportion of the population. We'll look at East Cleveland, Ohio. This is a place that used to have a lot more mills around it. So we have 33% of the population is over 60 years old, way higher than any of those Sunbelt cities. Again, this is not a place that millennials and Gen Z people are dying to move to. We'll go to Gary. This was an economic powerhouse when the US was making steel, and there was a lot of other manufacturing going on in Gary. Let's look here. We have 29% of the population is 60 years or older. Gary, Indiana, that's not where you're going to start your career. So you can really see the pattern here. It's not the Sunbelt cities that are loaded up with retirement age people. It's actually Rust Belt cities that have those retirement aged people. This is the information that I told you you're not going to get anywhere else. The data is one thing. You can theoretically see what it might be like where people are aging out. Maybe they haven't taken care of their house in a while because, they're 89 years old and they don't have the ability to keep up with it. They're on a fixed income. There aren't a lot of jobs around. It doesn't make financial sense to fix up a lot of these houses. So here's what you're left with. And you can do this research on your own. This is Youngstown, Ohio. We're going into a satellite view. So I was talking about Boardman, which is just south of this neighborhood that I'm showing you. If you zoom in, this is what happens when you have too many retirees in an area and there's not a lot of job growth. These houses used to have way more neighbors than this. So you can see some blocks, there are barely any houses there. Maybe, 70, 80% of the houses are gone in some of the blocks. So what happens is these houses that are supposed to be there because of the Silver Tsunami, and then the Gen Z and Millennials, they're just gonna ride in and they're gonna get great deals on these things. That's not what it looks like, because those people don't really wanna buy a $20,000 house that needs $100,000 of work to be worth $50,000. Let's look at another example, because that's not the only one. We talked about East St. Louis. You can see a similar thing going on in East St. Louis. It's not quite as pronounced as Youngstown is, but you can see that there are missing houses in a lot of these lots. You can see the sidewalks leading up to where the houses used to be, all these empty lots over here. It's pretty bad. Gary, this is crazy, because where the houses used to be, there is a forest. Look at how mature these trees are. That means that these houses have been in disrepair for so long, and they were bulldozed so long ago, that there's an actual forest growing there. This is that forest in Gary that we were looking at. It's absolutely insane. The carnage of a place that's frankly just forgotten. All these trees have grown over everything. It's hard to believe that at one point this was actually a town. And you can see some of these houses. There's a really good chance that a retiree lives in this house. So this data that you're seeing, it's very misleading, because this is not where that young tech engineer or the person that's just getting started in banking and finance, this is not where they're going to move and take advantage of this Silver Tsunami effect that's supposed to happen. So why am I making this video in the first place? Being in the real estate space, I do hear a lot of people's opinions, and a lot of them bring up this Silver Tsunami idea, and they're gonna sit on the sidelines for the next 10, 15 years. They're gonna wait for home prices to plummet in the Sunbelt because they're gonna be able to get in. I just don't think that that's wise. Given that inflation is always acting upon you, your rent is going to continue to go up. And I'm not saying that renting is a bad idea for a temporary solution, but don't wait for a mirage to get into a house when it financially makes sense for you. What's way more important is to find the right job market where you actually want to live. And then once you figure out what you want your future life to look like, if you rent for a while you're saving up money, eventually it's a pretty good idea to get into a house, because the value does go up with inflation and you have a more controlled payment versus rent, which again, that's going to go up with inflation pretty consistently. So the housing market always has the opportunity to go down in the short term, but I just don't think that this whole Silver Tsunami effect is going to be nearly as strong as people think it's going to be in the Sunbelt. I hope that you found this video really informative. I really enjoyed creating it. So if you could, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out immensely. Thanks, and I'll see you on the next one.